Buenos dias.
Ah, buenas. How are you?
Here we are, different parts of the world, different sides of the world, calling from Peru and Australia.
That's
And
it.
the
It's
question today is how do we get out of the density? How does anybody have a good attitude when they live in the density of the city?
exactly. How does one do so? How does one go and keep their vibes high? And they're surrounded by.
And sure, there's different ways to go about it, but I think I'm a bit pessimistic about it all.
Touche. Touche. Maybe that's the reality of it all.
We could talk about it. I mean, of course, just exercise, clean water, getting out in nature, getting into higher frequency, doing the feng shui on your buildings, your house, your environment, cleaning up all the energy. That's not like doing any good anymore. I mean, all this stuff is, but you're dealing in the density, right? I think the
Right.
part that you had the point yesterday is like it's easy to be a guru on the mountain, but it's a challenge to be a guru in the city. Um, Yeah, I mean the cities are low density centers. They're designed to bring your energy down. I would say in general, are there any exceptions?
No, I'd say that's probably their primary function. Most people aren't aware of it, but yeah, I mean, like we said, people live in their square little boxes and up in the sky in their buildings. There's no grounding, there's no nature, that you can't even go outside and put your feet on on the earth. It's everyone's plugged into their technology 24/7, whether you're doom scrolling or watching TV, there's not
So yeah, I
much
don't really think there's
nature.
much option in the city. I mean, I had this talk years ago, before it was even as bad as it is now, and the social situation with the amount of time that we spend on in our computers and on our phones. It's even back then, my argument was is like, well, you can create a high frequency life in the city, but it's extremely expensive. You have to get like, radiation screening for your walls, for what Wi-Fi reflection. You got to get like grounding plugs, grounding blankets, clean water, filtration systems, recharge the water, um, like whatever it is, like play, nature sounds, or you can just get out of it all and just get into nature to begin with, right? I think that was always
100%.
the point. But like, I want
That's
to take it to further, right? With what did our cultures used to do? Like with these high frequency grids and buildings that we used to live in.
well, like we're talking yesterday, the Tartarians and harvesting the natural energy. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I kind of feel like, there needs to be a mass awakening for people to start waking up to what we used to have and what was available. Um,
But I think we need to be the trailblazers within that, or there probably already are people out there doing it. But if we're doing it individually and we're not really communicating together, maybe that's better. Maybe it's not. Maybe as a collective we could move into one of these cathedrals, chateaus,
Mhm.
monasteries,
Mhm.
whatever it might be. Because we can't do it all on our own. Those things are massive, take a lot of maintenance to upkeep. This is why they're like such great prices, is because they're so off grid. They're just so out there.
Mm. Mm.
But you get into it and it's like,
I guess
but I think that's when the
we
frequency
need quite a bit
shifts.
of money too. We need a bit of money to be able to do this and I'm sure it can be pulled together. I mean, I love the idea of trying to acquire one of these old buildings, but I've noticed like where I'm living, these old buildings, they're all like, national libraries, you know. One's like a one's a library, one's a post office, one's a art center now. So it's not like they're just homes. It's not quite easy to just move into them.
Yeah. You
Unless
could
we
spend more time at the library, I guess.
And you totally could. I'm gonna go to the art center tomorrow and check it out and hang out. But I guess a lot of it really to me is like just getting out of the city, really. buying bits, a decent amount of land out of the city and building something, out there. Like I was
That
saying,
seems to be a cheaper, a more attainable option.
it is, you could build geodesic domes. Like I've been planning on, getting some land and building maybe, 3 or 4 domes on the land, and having some farm animals and whatnot. However, I just don't know how to generate income unless I rent out the domes, whether it's Airbnb or weekly.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good start. You're on the right track.
yeah.
Psychedelic peace, off grid, in nature, away from the correct collective thought patterns. You just break free of that. I think
Absolutely,
that's
and create a refuge for people to actually have like a nature immersion, like those who can't actually get out full time, at least they have somewhere where they can get to and tap back into nature and live um as
it's a
close to that.
complex. It's a bit of a complex problem. It seems so easy on the surface, but we've been so entrapped within our,
That's
every
right.
way.
That's right. I mean, that's the thing. You get entrapped. Like, majority of people have families, right? So you've got a wife, you probably have a couple of children. So there, you need to look after the household. And then you got to live in a house, right? So then you go get a mortgage, a ridiculous mortgage with a ridiculous interest rate or whatever. So all of a sudden you are, stuck with a mortgage for perhaps 30 years and probably in a dead-end job that you hate, but you got to go through the motions every single day. So how do you get out of that? That's the thing. I
I
mean,
don't know if there is a balance. Maybe it's just one or the other. Because like I've always been like fascinated how people can just go in the jungle. There's millions of people out in the jungles of Peru that are just not on the census, not accounted for, have large families, live pretty good lives, as long as they stay away from the cities. If they're not getting like the processed foods and the drinks, and they can live off out in the jungle, I'm amazed at how they have wives, they have tons of kids, they're able to pull it together. But I mean, what are we looking for
how
here?
are they
What is
living? Is this tribes we're talking about, or what? They don't come in
their
contact with humans.
tribe? Yeah, there's like, but they have had Western contact. Like they might still live in like um
The hut
the
kind
shanty, but they're content. They're happy. These people are truly happy people.
of. Mm.
I would say, like if they're smiling and joking and having fun, getting together as communities, playing games every night,
Mm.
working together for food sources, they seem to be all right.
Yeah, well, that's the quality of life is probably far greater in terms they don't have material things, but they have authenticity, you know what I mean? Like they live in community, they look after each other. They don't have all these worries, these extra worries that don't actually mean anything. Um, so yeah, I mean, I totally get that. That's how I'd love to live.
But you come down, they're amazed that I'm down here. This is one of the hardest things to communicate. It's like once you get down and you have a heart to heart with the locals, they're like, "Why the hell are you here?" They
Really?
they yeah, they're like, "This place is like so dirty. Like, why would you want to live here? Why did you come from the States, from Lima, and live here? Like anybody, they all want to run from it.
Right.
Uh,
True.
so they don't know what they have, or they're enthralled with like the lure of the media and advertising and like the phones
Mm.
and who are we to deny them of that, having gone down our own paths with it? But in a sense, in too, that's why our presence in these areas is like to show them the relevance of their culture, the relevance of their culture.
Right.
How living close to nature is the solution, and that we're running away from the West, looking for answers that they can still provide.
Right.
Like with the plant, right?
Right.
But it's such a huge thing to bridge that conversation. But then, who are we trying to convince? Like at the end of the day, I can't convince people. I'm fighting the river. I'm fighting the ocean.
You are. Exactly.
So I gave up on that.
I think people
And
have to come to their own conclusions, right? I mean, again, all you can do is lead by example. It's all you can do. I mean, you've created a pretty sustainable business out there, and you've got you generate income and you keep living the way that you choose to. You're not off grid, but you're out on the outskirts of town there.
I would say like I don't know exactly I'd agree with the words you're using, but I have created a means of sovereignty for myself that
Hmm.
I people come up to me like, how did you do all this? And I always just say, you just start. It's
Mm.
like, what can I do now? What can I do this morning? What can I do today
Right.
to move that forward? And then the path opens up, miracles, happen, things, coincidence occur,
Hmm.
and you're able to move forward.
Right.
So, like, it's just about starting that process, I guess. I mean, maybe we just get caught into this whole mind trap. Like, oh, we can't do it. Oh, it's too hard. It's unattainable.
I mean, it's very true because I guess, like, for me, like, I'll come up with a whole plan and I'm like, okay, now I have to execute this whole big plan, and that kind of stops me from starting, really, because it gets quite overwhelming. If I was just to like go to step one, acquire some land, okay, now what? You know, what am I going to do now? Okay, I've got to build this. I've got to, which I've done it once before, and it just kept building on itself, and it was the process was incredible. It was amazing. It was the time of my life.
All
Uh,
right.
yeah.
Great testimonial.
Yeah. Um, again, but I'm looking at doing it again now, so I need to acquire some land on the outskirts of town. Um, my thing is, I don't have a lot of money at this point in time to spearhead this and to get it going. Um,
Well, like in a sense, then too,
Maybe
like why
the
are we like
collective.
starting fresh and doing this on our own?
Well,
Like,
that's where I'm going with it. Yeah, exactly.
and I pulled in all the parameters and like what's going to be good for a successful community. I mean, I got land, with
Mm,
geodetic domes on it, like about
mm,
5 or 6 of them.
mm.
Um, at the end of the day, I'm it seems like there's so many issues within society ourselves and our own mental blocks on the individual level when we start to come together in groups and communities.
Mm.
It takes a truly healed person in order
Right.
to
So,
even live in community successfully.
so let me ask you this: what specifically ha are some issues that you've encountered with this? Let's say, how many people on this land? Maybe six or seven, whatever. It's a small
I
little
would say
community.
the problem it's a deep psychological problem, mostly people with their fears and traumas and not letting go. But I think we could create like names for it, like the wokeism in a
Hmm.
sense too. That's a good way to label it. But there's like a root of that. There's like some sort of mental blocks.
Right, but there's that thing like everyone can have their own way of thinking or way of seeing things, right? That's sure. But it's the interaction with each other. Why can't we just or they, accept each other for who they are and what they are and live harmoniously together? Where's the
Yeah,
issue?
yeah. There's no acceptance of themselves and
Mm,
therefore no acceptance of the others around them. I
right.
mean, if with that sort of mentality, there is no acceptance of the self. They're running from the self. They're
Right.
changing the self,
Right.
uh,
Right.
isolating. That's one of the main things I've seen is just people continually isolate.
So would you
Uh,
say that these people that are living on this community are living out there intentionally? They are living out there intentionally, but would you say that they're perhaps are they running towards something or running from something?
both, yeah, both. Um, but I feel what I've seen is people try to do it on their own, and they project these like ideas that are not tried and true. And it's so crazy. It's something I've looked at for a long time. Like there's tons of communities around Iquitos, Tarapoto, where people, Westerners, have come in and tried to like instill these ideas. This isn't a fresh thing, but they try to like, oh, let's all work together. Let's sit around in a meeting and discuss how we're going to move forward with these ideas. And it sounds beautiful on the surface, the parts. make greater the whole. But at the end of the day, these communities are stagnant. They can't move forward. They're paralyzed without like a central guiding principle within it or someone to lead within that. And I've
Mm.
seen it manifest in examples. People have come through, you know, this plant medicine center where we're at now, from other parts of Peru talking about this, like, yeah, we had these bought this beautiful land, like, 2 hours outside of Iquitos in the jungle, and it's beautiful, and we're all there, and then we're there for like 4 or 5 years, and nothing's really changed. We're not moving ahead with anything. And one of the founding members finally said they had enough. They split off from our group and they went and bought some land next door. And then over the next 2 years, they created a whole successful business and community that they were just like leaving us far behind.
Mm.
And it's because one person was able to move into a leadership position and guide the whole thing and create and
Right,
execute the ideas instead of discussing,
right,
like all the parameters and everything around it.
right.
Yeah. Because everybody's at a different level of consciousness and understanding. And so what are we just having groups of trying to raise people's frequencies in that moment? I guess there's something to be said for that.
Mm.
But I find that, the lower frequencies bring down the whole as well.
Well, they do. That's a prime example right there. You know, that one guy just went on and he just like got out there and probably next day he just did a little bit more, and it kind of like you said, it just grew into something. Whereas opposed to doing it in a group, if everyone's not on the same page, it becomes this thing where you're trying to tear each other down, or just a bit of a jujitsu roll there with everybody together. Um, and I think
Yeah.
there needs to be some, we need to be moving towards a greater good. And I don't like the idea of hierarchy, but I mean, in tribes there was
Yeah.
always a hierarchy.
Yeah. Like I've had tons of these discussions within our own community building, and
Mm,
it's stagnation, revisiting same points, but it's really just about people projecting their wounds, their unhealed traumas,
right.
reflecting in that moment through like a need to be seen and heard. And there is a place for all that, but it's not in the execution phase of trying to create structure, a container. And I think we can get into masculine and feminine within this too. Like if these concepts evolve out of sort of a blending of the masculine and feminine, and I think the closer you get into nature, and that you need to, like, the masculine is known for structure, creating protection and space for the feminine to grow within. And when we start blending all these ideas together, it's like none of it really truly manifests in its pure state or its highest potential state, like the feminine or the masculine.
Right. So what are we saying? It's the psychology of it. Are we saying it all comes from some sort of childhood wound or something? Or
Well,
like,
yeah, and I think like the wokeism movement and a lot of these ideologies that we're seeing in the divisions, extreme divisions we might even be seeing now, is a result of people projecting their own wounds and inadequacies or frustrations in their ability to move forward or what this whole society thing is about. And so they make missteps.
mm,
But yeah, strong leadership. Maybe this is what we need to do. We need to just reach the others. I think Terence McKenna said that. Find the others. Find your community, your
mhm,
people.
mhm. I
He
agree.
was talking back in the day when he give a speech on somewhere in the world on the islands, and all the people that got together. He'd be like, "Look around. This is your peer group right now. These are the people that have the same interests and ideas they do have." So
Right. Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, I've just moved to a new place, and that's exactly what I'm trying to find. My peers, my people. Um, it's an interesting thing because I'm like, I don't even know where to start, man. So all I'm doing is I just go to things and meet up groups and stuff that I'm interested in, and it takes time. Eventually I'll start seeing the same people, and and make friends in that way and find like-minded folk around the place. I mean, you're in a great place actually because you there's so many people that filter through there. And there is a commonality that tends to bring people to that, you know, to the
That is
center
all
there,
very true.
to the center
Yes.
there. But, I mean, yeah, it's quite transient. But I think like what we're saying here is true. Like I'm studying counseling, and above all, it's the psychology. It's the want to move on and build something with your fellow human, right? It's not everyone can be a leader. That doesn't work, right? I've always played team sports my entire life, right? And if everybody's trying to be a leader and the superstar, we're not going to get anywhere, right?
No. Run in
It's
circles.
it's just the way it is. So there's this old saying, how do you what's the mark of a leader? What's the true markings of a leader? And a true leader is somebody that is able to spot another leader among them and is able to step aside and step back in line and let that leader lead if they are better at leading than themselves. So if I saw you in a group and I saw, wow, you have way more refined leadership skills than I do, so I'm able to step back in line and for the greater good, right? So I think that's the markings of a true leader, but I think really that's the way that we all need to be thinking and feeling. It's not about the accolades of being at the top there. It's about getting the thing done. It's about moving forwards together collectively. I don't give a shit if I'm the one at the front or the one at the back. I really don't care as long as we're all moving. It's for the
As long as we're all moving.
right.
Yeah, that's the thing. I find when we get into these group situations where we have these share, everybody's opinion before we move forward, there's no motion. I mean, it's complete, it's always stagnation, it breeds discontent.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And that's what you've been experiencing out there in your little community. Um, there's
Yeah,
just
enabling and empowering people, right? And this is where the wounds come in
mm,
because you see people like, oh, you'd be great at gardening. You'd say you want to do gardening. You tell me you want to commit, getting up every day and tending to it and
mm,
growing our own food and organics. And then, like, nothing comes of it, right? You
right.
wanted to empower those people. You wanted to put them into a leadership role, but day after day, they continue to not show up. And
Well,
then my is like, I don't want to be like they're a bad person. I'm just saying that there's so many like traumas that are just programmed into us. Like they don't feel like they're good enough to succeed, so therefore they're going to sabotage and fail themselves.
right.
You know, I mean, there's some deep stuff within that, and but I feel it's relevant. If they have what is it, a fear of success or like what is that, sabotage, self-sabotage
Yeah.
behavior.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's almost a learned thing in society. I think it's almost like instilled with like the way we approach our education in general. So it's almost like a programmed helplessness within people themselves. I don't know to give, but we all need to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, they say. So
No, exactly. But I think you're right. There is a program to helplessness because we're not really um, taught to like have the entrepreneurial mindset that you can go out and create and do whatever you want. It's kind of a more conformative teaching at school that I learned, you know.
yeah,
And
follow the rules.
follow the
Look
rules,
at
fall in line, be a good student, good worker, and put your head down and just plod along and do the thing. And don't look to the sides, don't have big dreams. It's just you can't do it anyway. Like it's so yeah, it's
this is
kind of
it. This is why I think we need strong leaders because I feel like we're all trying to look for a way through this and
yeah, we are. We are. And we
not
do
a
need
lot
strong
of
leaders.
faith,
You're
but
right. Yeah, you're right.
there's already how do we make this happen, right?
You know, it's
Here I am,
it's it
your situation. We need to be the examples of it.
yeah, 100%. I think it's putting the ego to the side is a really big thing. It's a really big thing. And having that understanding. that we're trying to move together for the greater good to achieve something together. That's ultimately what it needs to be. Now, can people put their egos to the side? You know, can we appoint that person and empower that person at the front there to lead? Doesn't mean it has to be a king or whatever. We can switch the leaders, but it's like, can we all
Well,
come
we need more
together?
than one. People rise to competency within their own field.
Mm,
You give them responsibility as they can rise up into it. And so, as a proper leader, you need to figure out how ways to empower people. Because
right,
I manage crews. I've been managing crews for a couple of decades now.
right,
For me, like the perspective, like of the worker growing up, that's particularly is like, oh, the boss takes advantage. They're just there. They're lazy, and all these sorts of
hmm,
things. But it's my experience is quite the opposite. The person in charge is 24 hours a day. They don't go to work and then come home. They're there working all the time because it's in
right,
their best interest to make sure all the workers are empowered, right? So you got to make sure they have all the materials ahead of time. You got to have plans before they get there, plans when they leave, reassessment of the
right.
situation forward.
That's right.
It, if everybody's doing that, there's no motion, right? So
No,
you do
exactly.
somebody that is.
Exactly. And I like the way you lead is truly the way leadership really is. I mean, I've worked in so many construction sites and I've seen leaders or supervisors and they, like my father, I love the guy, but he's a very old school kind of leader where he'd pretty much intimidate everybody into doing what needed to be done. But he was quite good in the way that he would, be very organized and make sure the materials were there and all of that, of course. But it was kind of like people would do it through fear. Now, the way you do it, it's through empowerment, you actually set down all of the things. This is what we got to do, guys. All right, now you guys do it however you want. And everybody feels like they're actually adding something to the project. They get to use their own mind and their own way about doing stuff. It's not like a micromanager per se, where a micromanager is just sucking the energy out of everybody, and not giving any kind of well, people aren't expanding as they're working. So I think a leadership the way you're doing it is really the way to do it. Um, because everyone
Right. I
feels
guess
like they have a participatory, part in it.
it's been a learning process. I mean, I don't know if it's self-evident, to everyone. It's like learning by trial by fire. It's like you learn from your mistakes are your most valuable teachers.
Yeah,
I think we're mistakes a lot of times, but the mistakes are how you get there.
right.
But anyway, I think we should kind of wrap this up for this morning, though.
Okay.
Uh,
Cool, cool. Yeah, no, that's cool. But it's like, just to wrap it up, it's like the right kind of leader makes me want to work twice as hard for them or for the project, right? That's the
mhm.
way it is. And the wrong kind makes me just want to fuck around and sabotage. And that's kind of the way that I feel. I think everyone would sort of feel that way.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right. Anywho's, gotta go seize the day.
Seize the day. Let's build this world,
All right,
the
son.
dreamer life, the dream world. Build the dream together.
All right.
See
Cool.
you
See you,
soon.
man.